Welcome back to another episode of Health Hacks. I am Melissa Deely, and this week I'm talking about hormones. And today I want to talk to you about progesterone. Last time I talked about estrogen, so if you missed that, you can go back and check out episode 229. So, what does progesterone do? Well, it prepares the endometrium for the potential of pregnancy after ovulation, because it triggers the lining to thicken and accept a fertilized egg. It also stops the muscle contractions in the uterus that would cause the body to reject an egg. And while the body is producing high levels of estrogen, it does not ovulate. So, this is a really important part of conception. And when we don't have enough progesterone in our body, it is much harder for the body to conceive and hold on to that pregnancy. So, women who have a lot of miscarriages might want to be checking out what are their progesterone levels and test those in the first trimester of their pregnancy if they have a history of miscarriages. Because in our world today, we often are low in progesterone, and that can put the body into an estrogen dominant state. Even if our estrogen levels are low too, our progesterone levels tend to be lower relative to the low estrogen, and we still end up in a estrogen dominant state. And we really don't want to be in an estrogen dominant state, because that then triggers the thyroid to slow. It slows the metabolism. It can put us on the path to type 2 diabetes. It can put us on the path to breast cancer. And so understanding our hormone levels is really important in being able to take preventative action in our health to ensure that we don't get these other diseases down the line, because we know what our hormone levels are and we're making sure that we're working to keep our hormone levels in balance. Now, something with progesterone that I want to share with you is called the progesterone steal. And this is why we often end up low in progesterone. And it was my case as well, and a trigger for hormones, for migraines that I had for many, many years. So, what happens is that when the body is in a stressed out state, our brain wants to get us to safety. It needs to produce more adrenaline, more cortisol in order for us to be able to fight or flee and get to safety. And so it shuts down other systems in the body that take energy in order that all of our energy can go to getting towards safety. So it shuts down our digestive system, it shuts down our immune system, it shuts down procreation. And as the body is making more cortisol, what it stops doing is making progesterone. And so that is called the progesterone steal. The body then can get to safety. We're not trying to stop and make a baby in that moment. We don't need the progesterone in that moment. And then ultimately, when we get to safety, we should then be able to calm the body and get back into our rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system, and the body will resume normal function in terms of being able to produce progesterone. However, when we are constantly in that fight or flight state, which is where many of us are living in today's world, the body doesn't ever get into that rest and digest state to be able to start producing progesterone again. And as a result, we end up with very low levels of progesterone. And this can then impact our fertility. It can impact our cycles in terms of giving us, difficult PMS systems, as well as through menopause. We can struggle with symptoms when our hormones are out of balance. And I just want you to know that when you are struggling with symptoms and you're accepting them as being hormonal, as being part of being a woman, that you don't have to accept them. You can actually do something about it and get some lab testing done, assess where your hormones are at, and then take action to support your body naturally in rebalancing your hormones. So if you'd like to know more about that, feel free to reach out, Melissa at yourguidedhealthjourney.com.